Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Soul School Network, our Sunday Circle. We have a great group with us today, and we'll be discussing a really, I think, interesting topic, one that I think a lot of people have either thoughts about or experiences of, and we're talking about angels and spirit guides. So we'll get into that momentarily. It is Sunday, May the 26th. I think we mentioned we were having a special guest this week, but that's been postponed for a couple of weeks. And so we're looking forward to that. But today it's an open discussion on angels and spirit guides. And to get things started with us, Corianka is here, but we're going to be playing her recording of a grounded meditation that really helps us sort of get into the spirit of our conversation. So, Sue, please roll the tape.
Will do. Thank you. And I'm just going to date correct to April.
Did I say May?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Okay, my bad. My bad. Yeah.
For anybody listening on YouTube.
Yeah, my calendar already shows May, but it is
Yeah.
April. Thank you.
If that feels good. Take 3 deep, relaxing breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. We'll start scanning our bodies for any tension there might be. Starting at the head. We'll do this together. We'll just observe without making any meaning out of it. Scan the crown of your head, the back of your head, your face and neck, your shoulders, one arm and then the other, all the way down to your hands. Now your back, from the neck all the way down to the final bone of the spine. You can focus your attention now on your chest and your abdomen. Are there any sensations so far? Any muscle tension? Just observe it for now. Continue with your right leg and foot and your left leg and foot. Wherever you found tension, let it go. Gently, by visualizing that it is a white cloud that slides down your body all the way to your feet, leaving your body through the soles of the feet. Perhaps there will be many clouds of tension leaving your body. That's great. You're letting them go. You can feel good about it. Once tension is out of your body, it will be gone and transformed into life-giving energy. Let's take a deep, relaxing breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let it feel good. You can stretch your body and make sure you are comfortable wherever you are. You are a beloved child of God and the earth, deeply connected to her. Notice how your feet are planted on the ground, either physically or energetically at all times. Feeling the earth with the soles of your feet. Feel how your energy grows and extends itself from the soles of your feet towards Mother Earth. You are growing energetic roots that go into the moist, rich soil under your feet, uniting with the Mother, receiving nourishment and love from her. The more your roots extend and go deeper and deeper into the earth, the more you feel deeply grounded and held in love by Mother Earth. Stay present in this moment. You can feel it. Remain grounded and present in this moment. Grounded and present. Grounded and present. You can gently go back to your breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And one more time. Now you can slowly open your eyes when it feels good to you, and move your body slowly as you come back. Enjoy a beautiful day.
Thank you, Corianka. You enjoy a beautiful day as well. I hope everyone does have that moment. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say, I've been reflecting a little bit on this group and how we get together every second Sunday, and it's been happening now for a couple of years, I think. And I just want to say how thankful I am to have these experiences with you. We don't often think about the times we have together with people until after those times have passed, and those times, will pass for us. That we'll be looking back on these discussions in a few years, maybe, or whenever, and thinking about how wonderful it was to have friends like you and have this time together. So thank you, everyone, for being part of Soul School Network. My name is Greg, and we're here, of course, on Zoom, and we're also broadcasting these on YouTube for people to watch later on. It is April the 26th, a Sunday, and today our discussion is on something I think a lot of you would have some thoughts on, maybe some experiences as well. So I'm very curious to talk about our subject today. We're talking about angels. We're talking about whether angels exist, whether spirit guides actually exist in our lives. Do we have those around us, the invisibles that we can't see, who are kind of guiding us through our experiences, here and now? Have you ever had a moment in your life where you knew that they were there, that you felt that there was something there telling you what the right path was, or maybe supporting you through a very difficult time. I'd love to hear, what people think about that, and maybe we can learn from each other, and learn from, um, you know, the spiritual connection that we may have to those in other realms, if that actually exists. So here we go. Let's get things started. Who would like to kick off our conversation today? There's
Yeah,
too many
Lionel,
hands. Too many hands are being raised here. So, Michelle, please join in. That'd be great.
I have like a personal
Thank you.
story. Um,
Okay.
this happened when I was a little kid, maybe about 8 years old. Um, there's really no way to explain this other than divine intervention. It didn't happen to me, but it happened through me, I guess you could say. The life that was saved was not mine, but it was my cat, Chuckles.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a very appropriate name for her. She was a clown cat. She would jump into the washing machine. She would jump into the dryer. She would jump into the ice box. The washing machine and the dryer only happened once, obviously. But I mean, the washing machine and ice box, but the dryer she liked a lot because it was nice and warm. And yeah, she kept on jumping in there so many times that my mom had to check every time she closed the dryer, before she closed the dryer, to make sure the cat wasn't in there. And almost every time she was. And on this day, I guess she forgot to check. And I had stayed home from school that day because I didn't want to go. Well, I never wanted to go to school, but that day, I remember so well. That day, I just really didn't want to go, and I faked sick so I could stay home. And my mom actually let me stay home, which was surprising because I was obviously not sick. I was bouncing off the walls. We had this swing in our basement, like, the kind that you find at the park, those kind of swings. And I was on that swing, and I remember so clearly that I just had to go and look for my cat. Like, I just had this urge out of the blue. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just had to go look for her. And I looked in all her favorite places at first, and she wasn't there. And my mom had just put on the dryer, and I knew about her habit of jumping into the dryer. And I remember so vividly just standing there, staring at the dryer and thinking to myself, no, she couldn't be in there. She could not be in there. I was actually trying to talk myself out of opening the dryer because if I opened it, I would have to press this button on the top to get it going again. And I was too short at the time to reach it, and I didn't want to get in trouble. But so I decided, she's not in there. So I turned around and started walking away when I heard, I don't know, it wasn't a voice. It was more like words put into my head so that it seemed like I was thinking them to myself. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, you should go check just in case. I remember just in case. I remember that clearly. And so I'm like, okay. And it's a good thing I opened that dryer door because I remember I saw the swirling towels, and suddenly this little kitty head pops out from among the towels, and I hear this loud meow, and this streak of fur just like flies past me. And I had to go dig her up from under the bed, and she was shaking, and I was petting her, trying to calm her down. And my mom comes down, and she's wondering why the dryer had stopped, like was open, right? And I told her the story. She couldn't believe it, but that's exactly how it went down. Like, something guided me to, like, I wasn't going to open the dryer. And if I hadn't, there would have been a very tragic ending. And what was even more miraculous was that she wasn't hurt. Like, she was traumatized, of course, but she wasn't injured. The dryer hadn't been on long enough to heat up. And yeah, she was fine otherwise. And the whole timing of that, like, it was like a divine timing. Like, I decided to stay home from school that day, and I had to go look for her right at that moment. And then it seemed like it had to be something more, because it's like, how can you explain that, right? And it actually made it so that I felt like I could never be an atheist because there had to be something. I actually have a title to the story. I've told this story to people so many times. I have a title for it. Curiosity almost killed the cat. And if I hadn't saved her that day, there are generations of cats wouldn't have been born, and that includes my Sylvester. I had him for almost 21 years. I would never have known him. So
Wow.
I'm very thankful for that intervention, for whoever did that, or maybe it was my own intuition. I don't know, but I think that it was there was too much involved for it to be not something more.
Yeah. And so do you listen to the voice in your head now a little more closely? Was it something that you kind of said, oh, this has to be a guide?
Well, at the time I was too young to really think that.
Yeah.
But later on in life, yes. That's why I said
Yeah.
I never could be an atheist because I knew there had to be something because of that experience.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you skipped school uh to do this. I mean, and that's the experience I think a lot of people have, is that there is some kind of a guidance that's outside of ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing that. Appreciate that, Michelle. Would anyone like to sort of riff on what Michelle has said and talk about their own experiences in a similar way or other way? Okay.
I have one.
Okay, sure, Sheila, go ahead. As you're
I have a
packing.
story. As I'm packing. Uh, Quickly, I was driving home on the 401 outside of Toronto. Toronto on the way home, I had my niece who was 18 months old in the car, and I was visiting a friend. Her mom came home with me, and my niece had a fever at the time. I remember I looked back in the rearview mirror, and she was seizing, and I kind of I had a panicky moment. I was in the fast lane, the passing lane, so I pulled over. And once I got my nurse brain about me, I remember thinking it's just a febrile seizure, but I had pulled her out of the car. And this very old, sort of Cadillac looking car pulled up behind me in the fast lane. And this very tall man with black hair down to his shoulders, I just remember him taking like two major steps toward me. And I had Hillary in my hand, in my arms, and he said, "What do you need?" And I said, "I need to get her to the hospital." And he said, "Follow me." And so I got her back in the car, and then his car went across 3 lanes of traffic. And I followed, and I went to the Scarborough Hospital, and I never saw him again. And I just was thinking, I wish I'd been able to thank him. That was amazing. And when I asked my friend Paula's mom, or I didn't ask, I said that was amazing that man helped us. And she said, "What man?" So that she had no sight, no visual on him. It was just he was mine. So my own. So I've always thought that way anyway, but that was lovely for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
That's incredible. Whether this person was there or not, I mean, if you think about it, for
Mhm.
someone to show up at that moment and to somehow have an intuition that you needed help, or at least some
Guidance.
some kind of guidance
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that moment is unbelievable. And then of course we've heard the stories before of these apparitions appearing when people need them. So
Mhm.
that's unbelievable. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, we'll keep an eye out for the long-haired guy with the caddy.
Yeah, please. Exactly.
Uh,
He has
um,
the cat.
yeah. Um, Sarah, you seem to like that story, I can tell. Do you have some thoughts
Sure.
on this story or others, or your own sort of learnings about this subject?
I do. I'll just ask Michael if it's all right because he has his hand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see that because I'm blind here in the
So,
front yard. Michael, do you want to
Go ahead,
start?
sir. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, yeah, I was smiling because Sheila's story moved me. I love stories like that. I live for stories like that. And I realized before we started today that I had my halo and wings here, and I hesitated. And I thought, why would I hesitate? Because it's, as you said at the beginning, Greg, this time we have together, we're going to cherish it always, and it's fleeting. We don't have forever to share these kinds of moments. And so, why not embrace it fully under the theme? And I want to open with my understanding of spirit guides and angels, what they are and what the difference is. So, spirit guides are known to be our deceased loved ones or people who have passed on and are in the no time zone of light. And were human like us. So it's not that they are without flaw, it's that in the realm of light, they are no longer shackled to their their patterns, their baggage, the things that stopped them in their human existence from being the best that they could be. And so over on the other side, there's, from what I understand, at first a review and a great wave of emotion of being able to see where they could have unshackled themselves while alive and then were unable to because they were so ingrained in the personality. So their purpose of staying with us, with their loved ones, is to be able to impart to us that there's something more than just this third dimensional reality. So they want to stay with us to give us that strength and that love, the wisdom of the higher perspective. So in that ocean of love to kind of gently nudge us towards something that will help us to transcend whatever is holding us back from being our best selves. Because our purpose, as I see it here on earth in all of our incarnations, is to be able to connect with our gifts and talents so that we may serve, as we spoke about in the karma episode of Soul School. It's to cease creating more debt and to begin to create more alignment through service and giving back. So that's spirit guides. And then angels were never human. They are sort of like the guard or army of the creator, of God, of source. They are pure love, and they guide us without the human condition. So it's set, it's a gift from creator to guide, shield, protect, and raise us up. And in my contemplation yesterday of an angel, of being an earth angel, what would that mean? Is it possible for us to love the way an angel would love, the way an angel, a guardian angel would love someone? The way I think of it is, if someone is misbehaving or locked in a pattern that is harmful to themselves and others, doing things that maybe they would be ashamed of, I'm sure that sometimes these people wonder, are there angels? Can they see what I do? Is it possible? And if so, how could they still love me even if I'm not being the best self? So I see an angel as a being that is able to love us unconditionally through all of it and shine that love. And so, as a human being here on earth in the third dimension, how can I be loving towards someone if I can see everything about their behavior and the crooked places? How can I love them through that? And what I see is it's sort of like looking at the bigger picture, looking at that person's birth and their death in this lifetime, and then looking at some of the points in between and realizing that a lot of the behaviors that we adopt that are harmful to ourselves or others come from a state of unconsciousness. It comes from being locked into that density. And oftentimes harmful behaviors are are really a desire to pull ourselves out of that density. And it's a desire to get out of the mundane, to get out of the routine. And without yoga, meditation, prayer, we we're misguided. We're guided by the ego or the personality and do things that, give us temporary relief. And so it's sort of like seeing it like that. If I could see someone's actions and not feel that they're not in alignment with their highest good or the good of those around them, to be able to love that aspect of them that is in the shadows or still can't quite see. And so to shine light on that person, to accept that person, and also the self-acceptance, to shine light on the self and shine light love back to the self, right? That pure love, it's vitality, it's energy. And when we think of the realm, the angelic realm, I read a beautiful passage recently that was saying they're not somewhere else that we aren't. We are vibrating in the third dimension, and angels and spirit guides are vibrating on the frequency of a higher dimension. And that dimension is accessible to us. Again, through yoga, prayer, meditation, we can access those realms. And when the more that we commit to releasing the shackles of bad habits and patterns, having the courage to look at them, having the courage to look at what we would be so ashamed to show somebody else. If we're ashamed to show it to someone else, often we won't even show it to ourselves. We minimize, we push it away, we make excuses as to why this thing exists. And so the courage to look at it within ourselves and see how it's destructive and ultimately does not lead us to the place that we want to be, which is better people, people that are feeling good, that, right? So the courage to look at that, that's when we can call on our spirit guides and our guardian angels to assist us with that. And the more we do that, that can lead to sight, the vision of what we're supposed to do or what we're meant to see, which is clairvoyance, sense, feeling what is the right or wrong or what is happening, that's clairsentience, and hearing what it is that we need to do, clairaudience. Those are accessible to anyone. And if someone is beginning to access their clarity gifts, their psychic gifts, it's not about seeing into someone's world and knowing all the little things that they do. It's rather being able to see what is the higher possibility for this person. That's why whenever I've gotten a reading from spirit guides, I'm blown away by how much more beautiful their view is of my life than I had access to. That they see something better that I didn't even allow myself to dream. How can that be? And it's because they're looking at the highest possibility, the divine possibility for my life and then the life of those around me. And it's just, we almost don't have access to it. The one more thing that I wanted to say, the we have also access through animals, children, elders. When barriers start to break down, people become more connected to these realms and can show us. And that's why it's so wonderful to be around pure beings like children and animals and nature that is just totally connected to this divinity that is right there. And so it's sort of like making the choice to accept that it's possible, that light is possible, that love is right there, and just listening. And so the first way that they communicate with us, myself, it's been through usually finding books because I'm a writer and a reader, avid reader. And again and again and again, I'll find a book. I'll say, I need to stop. I need to look. I need to look and see what there is. Once I found a book with grandfather William Commanda and Willaroo Waita and a slew of other elders that we've worked with. I nearly fell to my knees. I said, we need to stop. I need to look. And that was the book that was placed in Dad and Susan's hands that led us to meeting grandfather William Commanda. So it's very clear to me that it's how can that be? That I said we need to turn around, we need to go back, I need to look. Another way I find discarded fortunes on the ground a lot. So for me, it's words, it's books. I'm a translator, I'm a writer, so that's what I work with. And that's how they communicate. Think of the things, what do you love the most? And look there because that's where they're going to try and communicate with us. They find the direct conduit. For me, it's through words, it's through a song I hear, it's through a sound bite in a restaurant, overhearing a conversation. I always have my pen and paper with me. I was on the phone with an elder the other day, Clayton Patterson, and he said, "Write this down." And I said, "Clayton, I'm already writing it down. I'm already taking notes. That's what I'm constantly doing." And through that, it just floods in. So if we have a question or a dilemma, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? If we
Yeah.
want to hear the answer from our spirit guides, write down the synchronicities that occur. Write down who crosses your path and says something to you. And again, if basketball is your thing, or if numbers are your thing, or, you name it,
Yeah.
they're going to transmit it through that thing that you're paying attention to because we're so often just paying attention to the things that are bogging us down and distracting us. So we just don't see it. And they're always there trying to get through, trying to communicate. And this is just something I know in the fabric of my being. I am so protected. We are all so protected. For myself, it's just been an immediate thing where whenever I've been in trouble or danger or at an impasse, there they are. Like Susan knows the time after her brother Stuart had passed, and I saw a man in the airport right after I got through the border and almost didn't get through. And I saw that's why Sheila's story was so moving because that's it too. It comes through people and it's
Yeah.
moving because it's so
Yeah.
clear. I saw a man in a Hawaiian shirt that looked like Stuart, and he was carrying a book by Dr. Gabor Mate was something like the courage to be different or, you know, not to be like someone else. And that was so Stuart. And it was like, are you kidding me? Could you be more specific? And so I've been making note of these throughout the years. And it's quite astounding because it's like, even though I know, the intellectual mind still pushes it away. So it still touches my heart that no matter what we think, they're going to keep trying to get through to us, and they're right there. One more thing for now. A friend of mine who's in the room, I won't say who, won't call anyone out, said, "What if my angels aren't here? Are you sure?" It's like, if they are, what if I don't have a guardian angel? And that's the fear, the false evidence appearing real that we all have, that we wonder, has God abandoned us? Have my angels abandoned me? And they never abandon us. We abandon ourselves because we get more accustomed to the pain. That's where we reside because that's what's familiar and that's what we think is real. And we wonder, is that real? And if it's real, why is it taking so long? And it's like, well, for them, there's no time and we have eternity. So whenever we're ready, we can communicate and it's right there. So I'll begin with that. One love to all and our spirit guides and angels that are here with us right now.
Thank you, Sarah. Wonderful stories, and you always share your heart. You open your heart when you share um, your insights with us. I have a question for you very quickly before we move on to Michael, and that is, you talked recently about helping one of your friends move on from this realm, and you were there for that person. Um, does is it possible for us to be angels for others, in your opinion?
Well, it's interesting because one of my friends came to me in a medicine journey and asked me if I would. This is quite intense, so I don't know if we need trigger warnings, but a friend had taken their own life. And he came to me in the journey and said, "Will you witness me?" doing this. And I said, why? Why would you want that? And he said, because my loved ones haven't accepted me and they haven't accepted what I've done. And you have so much love that I feel there could be room in your heart for me. Is there room in your heart for me? And I said, yes, there is room in my heart for you. And so it was this request of, are you willing to see something that I'm so ashamed of and other people are angry at me for? Almost like you'll help free me if you can accept this, see this through the eyes of love. And so I think love is the frequency of the angels. True love is the frequency of our guides. And right in front of me on the wall is a poem by Philip Larkin that my friend had given me, that his father had signed, and it was given out at his father's funeral. And he gave this poem to me, and I asked him before he passed on, well, and I didn't know he was going to be gone in a few years. He gave me, and I said, will you sign it for me? And it's right in front of me. And the poem is The Trees. This is the poem. The trees are coming into leaf, like something almost being said. The recent buds relax and spread. Their greenness is a kind of grief. Is it that they are born again and we grow old? No, they die too. Their yearly trick of looking new is written down in rings of grain. Yet, still the unresting castles thresh in full-grown thickness every May. Last year is dead, they seem to say. Begin afresh, afresh, afresh.
Wow, beautiful. That's beautiful. And your story made me think about Koryanka's work. I know I had the privilege of meeting a friend of hers who was moving through end of life, and how Koryanka was really there for her. I can't help but think that Koryanka, you were her angel, and one of many actually who stepped up and had the courage to be there for her. I know you're maybe not able to share with us here, but I just wanted to mention that really signified to me what angels are about and when they appear at the right time, as Sarah pointed out. Um, Michael, do you want to jump in now? I know we've neglected you for a few minutes here.
Neglect is not in my vocabulary. It appears that the peach doesn't fall very far from the cauliflower tree. Um, because if what comes to mind are many, many things that both of you have said, and I'm going to segue on the last question that Greg posited, which was, do you think that fellow human beings are angels? And I highly recommend a film to all of you, an international film. You'd have to look for international films. It's a European film, and it's called Far Away, So Close. Far Away, So Close. And the theme of the movie opens with a beautiful angel standing on top of a statue of an angel, looking down at humanity and wishing that they could become human and that they could participate in what's going on in the human existence. And of course, they come to find out that the angels are their fellow human beings. That over and over again, when tight spots arrive, when queries amount to life-changing experiences, a person, an entity shows up, and it's usually another human being who opens that doorway, who opens the doorway to the idea, which is we live in multiverses, multi-universes, multi-dimensional. So within the concept of our third dimensional reality, length, breadth, and width, we are limited. And that limitation, in the end, is self-imposed. It's something that we impose on ourselves. If I was asked to render chapter by chapter the last 33 years of my existence with Susan Hagar, I would have to entitle it each chapter Magic Story Number 1, Magic Story Number 2, all the way to 33 and on. Because we live in Sat Chit Ananda. We live in eternal existence, eternal consciousness, and eternal bliss. I have so many stories in my life where angels have shown up and basically saved my life from utter disaster, to the point of circumstances being arranged that Susan Hagar and Michael Swinwood got together. There's pure magic, pure magic. So within the context of your existence, I'm presently working with two colleagues on behalf of an indigenous nation, and we have chosen as a theme, the ancestors are arranging things. And we chose that as a theme because we feel totally connected to the other realm wherein exists the ancestors. And Grandfather William Commanda was such a part of our life. He was such an influence on our patterns of existence. He was such an influence on our patterns of existence. You know, he lived until the age of 97. He passed on August the 3rd, 2011. But I feel his presence every single day. There isn't a day goes by that I don't mention Grandfather William Commanda's name. There's not a day that goes by that I don't mention his name, or that I see his image, or that I hear his words in my head. And more importantly, in the work I'm doing, which is acting on behalf of Indigenous people, which is like hit your head against the wall and see how much blood comes out, to know that I have grandfather's consciousness. I have grandfather's consciousness to tap into. I can relate to his consciousness. I can hear his voice in my head. And what Sarah said, prayer, meditation, yoga, these are the pathways to communication. And the only thing that keeps you away from that communication is yourself. That's the only thing. And what interferes, the obstacles that come to play in relation to that, in relation to your consciousness, has everything to do with what the Inca call the 7 egos, the 7 cardinal sins. Lust, anger, pride, envy, greed, laziness, and gluttony. And we all have these egos. They're in us. They've invaded us. And we have to eliminate them, get rid of them, because they stand as obstacles to the communication that Sarah was referring to, Sheila commented on, Michelle commented on. Communication. The communication came and it was clear. Did you see what just happened? Oh, they must have angels. How many times have you heard that in your life? How many times? So I want to relate to the one gorgeous thing in the middle of the question. And the one gorgeous thing is this idea of angels, fantasy, or reality. And I'll put the word love as the solution. Love is the answer. Love is always the answer. I have many stories that I could relate to you about near-death experiences of my own where angels intervened. But let me go to this one. In my recent illness, I had to have a biopsy, which meant that I had to go under anesthetic. And while under anesthetic, I left my body. my consciousness traveled to another realm, another dimension, where I experienced what all the people who talk about near-death experiences, which is the feeling of unconditional love. It was overwhelming. And when I came out of that anesthetic and Susan was standing right there, I couldn't speak because it'd been an operation on my throat. I couldn't speak, but I was overwhelmed with the feeling that I had just been shown, that I had been shown. This is the other dimension. This is where this exists now. It exists now. It isn't something that happened, oh, you bopped out and no, it's eternal. It's happening all the time. So within the framework of reality, the reality that we think this third dimension is not. It's the unreal. That's the unreal. And if you watch the movie, if you're lucky enough to get that movie, you'll be really inspired by the movie Far Away, So Close. Listen to that title. Back to Sarah and Wordsmith Sandwich. Far Away, So Close. And one of my favorite titles of all time is P.D. Ouspensky, In Search of the Miraculous. Imagine, right? Imagine tuning your consciousness in to the idea that what you're involved in, called life, is miraculous. It's a miracle. It's a total and utter miracle. That's it, Sarah. You got it. In Search of the Miraculous. And I have this one, which is Baba Ji holding the lightning, standing still. And Baba Ji is the exhibit A of the existence of God consciousness possible within the framework of a human being, within the human physical existence. That God consciousness can be displayed. Krishna, Master Yeshua, Buddha, Babaji, Yogananda. If you read the book, The Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda, you'll be blown away by the connection that exists in the invisible with these incredible individuals. And I could go on, but I see Susan has her hand up, and I yield to Susan.
Well, thank you for yielding to me, Michael. Ah, Well, this crowd knows I'm a big fan of guides and angels. And if I was at home in Peru, my office on the shelf behind you would see these little ceramic angels, one from when I was 6 years old as a birthday present, one from 7 years old, one from 8 years old, because I would ask for them. And looking back on it, it's just that clarity that children have, that there isn't this separation and the veil isn't so it's fine, so this was so real to me. And anyhow, I'm packing up my mom's apartment, which thus the background here. Last night late, I just out of nowhere decided, oh, I'm just gonna empty this one drawer. And it just had junk in it. But at the bottom is this little sweet little pale blue card that's got like a gold thread. And it says, I believe in angels, in gold sparkly, and I'm like, oh, of course. You're wanting me to think about our topic tomorrow, and let's start thinking. So of course I just was more taken with the little thing, and so I did start thinking around how much angels and guides have directed my life, and how I actually don't spend any energy really differentiating between intuition and angels and guides, because it's all a blended experience. And I really feel that the duality of the human experience, wanting to make things one thing or another. For me, it's all together. It's just flowing in my consciousness that I feel guided, that I feel angelic presence. And of course, I have experiences like everybody here where I knew something. And in one case, it was just so clear. And had I not listened, I likely would have suffered a physical harm. Like, it was so clear to me that call it intuition, call it a guide, but it was a scary nighttime experience of, acting. And so I understand that, angels are there for these emergency things where it's just so compelling, like Michelle said, as a little girl, there was no turning. You just had to go back and do what you're told. So to me, that is clear guidance. And I think most of our days, though, are filled with this guidance and direction. I have on my left shoulder a 444 angel tattoo, and that number for angels is divine presence and stability. And then on my right shoulder, I have an angel tattoo, a large angel tattoo, colorful blue, yellow, pink. And so, and I got the angel one originally, I guess, because so many people with vision had spoken about this huge guide they would call angel because of the size of the wings, like 18 feet tall. But your guides change, your angels change. Who's hanging with you changes based on what your needs are in your life and what phase you're in and what's going on. So that has changed for me. And in terms of meditation and stuff, I choose to connect with, I go through the realms like Father, Mother, God, and various what we know to be maybe masters and saints. Um, I connect with them directly. And, there's the closer guides and then there's the one further out. So, I see it all as relationships. So, like any human relationship that you work on and build, these relationships that you're having them, that you're talking, that you're thinking, that you're, making these experiences part of your life is building these relationships. So, for example, when I'm with a medium, the channel's open immediately. We're just talking to the full family because we've been talking all along. We never stopped talking because they left their physical body. So I see this as relationships that I build, and behind all of it, I would say, is faith as a superpower. Is as Sarah says, you can know, but there's always an ego mind behind the scene that's trying to get you to doubt and wonder about it. And we all experience that, and this doesn't make anybody bad or wrong. It's also part of the human experience. So we have compassion for each other as we go through the doubt. But at the end of the day, I see that this faith helps me in regards to all that I can't see with my physical eyes and know to be the truth of my reality. So that's my 2 cents on angels and guides. Thank you, Michael, for handing over the mic.
And thank you, Sue. Just a quick question for you. You mentioned that you've worked through mediums and had contact with spirit guides, I guess, or those who are who were in your life. Is that something that you see value in, that you think others should maybe experience or find value in?
Thanks for asking that, Greg. And what I've come to know is that people will be called and guided to do these things, and that I've learned giving it as a gift is not necessarily the best idea. In some cases, it is, but really, someone's own calling for it is important. And then again, to me, it's like it can just be good information. You might do it once in your life. But for me, it helps me to work with the relationship. It opens the channel more for me because, of course, you get your own messages, but the reality is somebody who's really gifted with this is so clear and they take you right to things that you can't necessarily do that yourself. We all have our gifts, and their gifts really make a difference in building this relationship for me anyhow.
Thank you. And one of your gifts is all that you share with us here. It's it's an honor to be connected with you and Michael and others who have helped with so many teachings. Michael, you have your hand up.
Papa, I want to say something related to what you said as well, Papa.
Yeah, sure. So I just
Just,
wanted to, you want to do it now?
oh no, you go first and then I'll close with it.
Okay. Okay. So this is just a short example.
Don't make me
Um,
mediate an argument here.
we'll start throwing cauliflowers at each other. Um, so this is a story about an elder and an elder whose name is Yellow Dust Woman. And the story about Yellow Dust Woman is how she got her name. And she was a blood tribe from Alberta. And I had begun working with her in the late 90s. She's in the spirit world now. But the way that she got her name was as follows. In her tribe, a couple of hundred years before her, there had been a raid by another tribe on them, and 600 warriors were coming at women and children and elders, and they were up against the Rocky Mountains. There was no escape. And so they turned to their medicine man and they said, well, you have to do something. And so the medicine man got up on a higher level, overlooking the oncoming warriors, and held out his arms and began to pray. And almost instantaneously, a huge windstorm blew. And the windstorm was so fierce that it drove 600 warriors away. They had to return, retreat, and go away. And when the people all seeing the scene of the retreat, they looked up, and because of the dust that had been kicked up by the wind and the sun coming through the dust, everyone said, oh my goodness, look at the yellow dust. And from there on in, the spiritual leader of the tribe was known as Yellow Dust Man or Yellow Dust Woman. And so she inherited the name of Yellow Dust Woman from the existence of an example of spirit being present at a critical time. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Michael. We're we're just over the hour now, but I wanted to see if anyone else wanted to share a story, an anecdote, or their own thoughts or feelings on the idea of angels and the existence of spirit guides. Anyone else want to quickly jump in with some thoughts?
I have some comments.
Okay.
Just wanted to say about Susan was talking about angel numbers. My house number is 222. And apparently that means connection and relationships, which is weird for me because I'm very introverted and I prefer being alone. And another thing what Sarah was saying about how spirit comes to us through animals or people or objects or whatever. My main thing is music. Like I always hear songs, especially like specific lyrics. And also the summer after my sister-in-law died, I saw a lot of these monarch butterflies, and I hardly ever see them. Last year I saw none, but the summer after she died, I saw a bunch of them, which was very unusual. So there was definitely something to that as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Michelle, some good news. I just read a story that the Monarchs are making a massive comeback this year.
Well,
There's huge numbers that were reported in Mexico. So you'll see a lot of your spirit guide butterflies flying around, hopefully.
I see a lot
Uh,
of those little white and yellow ones, but hardly ever the monarchs. So I
yeah.
would love to see them again.
Well, let's hope maybe later in the year you'll be reporting that you can barely make it out of your driveway because there's so many of them. But thank you so much for that, and thank you for helping kick our discussion off with the story of one lucky cat.
Mhm.
Is a lucky being and also a great insight for somebody who, as a child is questioning how this world works. Anyone else have any thoughts on things
Please,
before we go?
yes. Yes,
Okay, Sarah.
please. So, Dad was mentioning the movie Far Away, So Close.
Mhm.
And when I was a teenager, I I had a huge crush on this guy that lived in Belgrade. He was from Ottawa as well and relocated to Belgrade. And right when he got back, the NATO began bombing. And because I was, 18 years old, he elevated to me in my mind from a mere mortal to this sort of like angelic presence. He became, but now I know years later it wasn't him. It was what I was infusing him with. He became this kind of angelic presence. Everything became divine to me. I was seeing art through new eyes. Everything was just this visceral experience infused with this love. And he was the figure that was my muse, essentially. And I shared a piece. I wrote him letters all the time. And I wrote an essay in my undergrad called Letters to Phil, and one of the one of my classmates said, "This isn't about Phil. This is about you becoming a writer." And so once I was in New York City, my 20th birthday, and my best friend took me to a psychic. And all I could think about was him. When am I going to see him again? When's this going to happen? And she said, well, you can push the envelope a bit, but it's either here nor there. That's not the most important thing. She said, what's most important is that your job, you're a writer. And I said, no, I work in a greenhouse. And she said, well, that's not your job. You're a writer. And Jamie still reminds me of this because it's true. Anyway, I end up running into this guy. He was in New York at the same time. I run into him on the street. And we say, okay, let's go grab a glass of wine. And who's standing outside of the place that we go to? But the actor from Far Away So Close, Willem Dafoe. And when I would watch Far Away So Close, I would think about Phil, like, it was just like I said, it was everything had become this angelic, ephemeral experience. And part of why I'm telling this story about the Far Away So Close, I mean, we both commented, there's Willem Dafoe, and it's the actor that, that the angel that wants to come down to earth. And then when he comes down, he realizes, oh my God, it's so sad down here. Like everyone's so bogged down. And the other film by the same filmmaker, I forget who the filmmaker is, there's another film by him called Wings of Desire. Wings of Desire. And so this is how we create these magical, alchemical experiences, these miraculous experiences. It's that emotional propulsion, it's that intense focus that when we are moving towards something, that my emotional desire to want to see this person, and it was like, it wasn't meant to be, but we crossed paths. And there was all sorts of signs there. And so it was just like, that's something I've noticed in my life that I have my intensity, that if it really, literally, your desire, wings of desire, you can create this, you can pull that angelic presence in and really move mountains. And it happens again and again. And so that's why I think it's really important to contemplate desire, where we are focusing our energy, where we are focusing our emotions, our energy and motion, that we can move from far away so close to creating these wings of desire and shifting our experience into we're electromagnetic, frequency, free queen, see?
Wow, cool. You said wings. I think I just looked it up. Wim Wenders. Is
Wim
that the name?
Wenders, and you said wow, cool, and I thought wow, cool.
There you go. Well, there we are. So thank you, everyone. This has been a really wonderful discussion. Sarah, your wings really made the show. I don't know why, but every time you move, your halo lights up and your wings light up. So there's something magical going on there. You should wear it for the rest of the day, as far as I'm concerned. See what other conversations that brings you into. Thank you, everyone. Let's wrap things up here with the mantra of unification. Michael, would you be willing to be our sharer of wisdom with this?
Certainly,
All
certainly.
right. There it is on the screen for everyone.
The mantra of unification. The souls of all are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all humanity love. Miigwech Wittakocha.
Thank you so much, Michael. That's wonderful. Just before we go, to mention John Michael, who is one of our friends here on Soul School Network, was going to be presenting today. Something happened in that regard. And so I think he's joining us in 2 weeks. Sue, could you comment on a little bit on what's occurring?
I'd like to comment, but he hasn't confirmed with me.
Okay.
However, I do want to say, though, that the reason he couldn't make it today is he is receiving the Trudy Hero Award. Yeah. So this is, I don't really know about this award, but it's an honor for him, and he's getting that today. So that's why he couldn't be the speaker. But I believe he may be our speaker on May 10th or very soon coming up. And we have also a speaker coming up who's going to be speaking about dreams. And so she's going to be inviting people to send in any dreams they want to in advance, and then she'll speak about them live on Soul School.
Cool.
And yeah, we have a few interesting speakers lined up with the help of Michelle. Thank you. So yeah, lots to look forward to.
Wow, that's fantastic. So yeah, keep tabs on our website. We'll post things as we know it, and also it'll appear on Facebook as well as the newsletter. If anyone hasn't signed up for that, you can visit the website soulschoolnetwork.com and sign up for that, and we'll send in advance a notice of what's coming up. You mentioned John Michael, heroes, angels, they all go together. So I'm glad we got to at least mention what he's done and has brought to the world, and we're excited to have him share his story and his insight either in a couple of weeks or after that. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you on anyone want to guess? May the 10th.
Mother's Day.
There you go. Okay. Well, one way or the other, we'll have some things to talk about. Thanks again, everyone, and much love.
Thank you.